Hey, so welcome back to the channel. Now, one thing that I've always wanted to do and I've always found particularly interesting is looking beyond the story that we're told. And I find that particularly interesting. I find that if there's hidden messages behind something or where a story isn't quite as, let's say, presented, it's just put in front of you, everything's just there, you have to kind of figure things out yourself. I like that. I find it a little bit more entertaining, gets the brain working and I like that. And hence, when I did start the channel, although my main goal was to sort of present the Vader and the cosplay element, which again I want to do more on that, but I really wanted to talk about the laws in Star Wars as well, and certain, let's say, theories and things of that nature. And so this is what I want to do in this video, is talk about, was Vader actually the chosen one? And so let's get into it. So we'll start with the obvious and what we're presented, that Anakin is the chosen one. And we get a lot of that in the prequels. So we said this has been told to us countless times, and let's throw a few clips in to show that.
It's too late. No. Obi-Wan. Promise me you will train the boy.
Yes, Master.
He is the chosen one. He will bring balance. Train him.
His new assignment with much enthusiasm.
It's very dangerous putting them together. I don't think the boy can handle it. I don't trust him.
With all due respect, Master, is he not the chosen one? Is he not to destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force?
So the prophecy says.
A prophecy that misread could have been.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them! Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness!
So it's said countlessly that he's the chosen one, he's the one to bring balance to the Force. However, I have a theory. There was actually Darth Vader that was to bring balance to the Force, not Anakin. And I appreciate that Anakin and Darth Vader are the same person physically, but they're not the same person in terms of who they actually are. Let me explain what I'm trying to get to here. First off, we know that Anakin was born of no father. And it's believed, so it's not confirmed in the canon series, but it's believed that Darth Plagueis was the one who created Anakin through the Force. And if this is to be believed, so let's run with that as a fact, let's say that is exactly what happened, then Darth Plagueis could have picked any female host. And in the Star Wars universe, there are countless species. And he picked a human or a humanoid female host. Why was that? Why didn't he pick, for example, Yoda's species, which they are, as a species, supposed to be particularly strong in the Force? So why pick a humanoid? And further to that, why pick a slave woman, a woman that's on a remote planet that's pretty much, I mean, it's obviously inhabited, it's Tatooine, but it's not like Coruscant, which is like massively populated. It's out in the it's a desert planet. So why pick a humanoid, and why pick someone that was a slave from Tatooine? Again, I'm going to go into why I think he picked that. So I'm going deep into lore here. I hope you like where I go. The Sith and the Jedi are opposing, but the Sith aren't necessarily evil. They just do things differently. They have a different philosophy on a way of life. And Palpatine was getting trained by Plagueis. And I think what happened here, or I like to think, to put some real breadth to the story, is that Plagueis had been training Palpatine and training him obviously in the ways of the Sith, and obviously the dark side, which is considered the evil side, but again it's just light and dark, they're just two different sides of the coin. And I think that Plagueis knew that Palpatine wasn't just someone that was a dark side user. I think Plagueis knew that Palpatine was actually evil. I think he could see what he was about. I think he realised that he was somebody that was for ultimate power and wanted just to take over the universe. And as a consequence of that, I think he was regretting his decisions to train Palpatine, and that he was looking for a successor and potentially looking for somebody to actually take out Palpatine. And so I believe he created Anakin through the Force, but he did this in a way to hide this ultimate Force being, if you will, hide this from Palpatine, so that Palpatine had no idea that it had happened, but even if it had, who it would be in the universe, who this person was, who is this ultimate Force being, it would be impossible for him to know and to find. And that he picked someone, i.e. in Shmi, that was so remote, so out of the way, that they could never find him, they could never find Anakin. Again, it was to hide Anakin from Palpatine. And so thinking that this was the case, I think Palpatine realising that Plagueis was ultimately plotting against him, and I think Plagueis was thinking, I've created a monster in Palpatine. Palpatine ultimately knew that his days, I guess, were numbered under Plagueis, and so he made the first move, and he took him out. And the story we get in episode 3, where he talks about a master being killed by his apprentice, that was clearly 100% had to be a story about him killing Plagueis, Palpatine killing Plagueis. Let's watch that clip.
Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
No.
I thought not. It's not a story the Jedi would tell you. It's a Sith legend. Darth Plagueis was a dark lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise, he could use the Force to influence the midi-chlorians to create life. He had such a knowledge of the dark side, he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying.
He could actually save people from death.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
What happened to him?
He became so powerful. The only thing he was afraid of was losing his power, which eventually, of course, he did. Unfortunately, he taught his apprentice everything he knew. Then his apprentice killed him in his sleep. It's ironic. He could save others from death, but not himself.
Is it possible to learn this power?
Not from a Jedi.
And so because there was no confirmation, let's say, that Plagueis had actually been successful in creating a Force being, after Palpatine had killed him, the likelihood is that he actually thought he'd failed. No doubt it was party to the to this experimentation, and so I actually think that Palpatine sort of thought that Plagueis had failed, and that after he'd killed him, that obviously he took the head role in the Sith. It was his time to become the master, and hence went on to go get his own apprentices and train his own people. And if you look at the way, let's say, Darth Maul operates, he's very savage, almost animalistic in the way that he operates. Just an absolute weapon, and that's sort of more suited to Palpatine's style at the time, I guess, and him wanting to actually bring somebody through, train somebody through that could never overtake him, in the same way that I guess Palpatine was going to overtake Plagueis. So we've got quite a bit of backstory there. Let's get back to Anakin. So in episode 1, Anakin being a kid, got nothing really to stay at Tatooine for other than his mum, and the Jedi obviously find him. They recognise that something is unusual about Anakin, and they want to bring him in. And when he's introduced to Palpatine, Palpatine instantly goes, whoa, something's not right here. Something he can sense, he can tell that something about him's not right. Let's put that in, because he does say, I'm going to watch your career. So let's put that in.
We are indebted to you for your bravery, Obi-Wan Kenobi. And you, young Skywalker. We will watch your career with great interest.
So instantly, at that point, Palpatine knew that he had to, some way, bring Anakin onto his side. Now, Palpatine is a master manipulator. That's what he's particularly good at. Hence the reason why he was able to create the Empire literally under the noses of the Jedi. The hiding in plain sight thing that he does is great. It's a great story in my opinion. But yeah, so he had to bring Anakin in. That's what his goal was. That's what he had to do, because he needed somebody who was going to be an enforcer for him, somebody that would be ultimately the power in front of the throne, if that makes sense. And that's what Vader was. Vader was the one who really ran the show, when you had Palpatine behind him, ultimately as the puppet master. And Anakin was perfect for that. Again, from a slave upbringing. So he's somebody that's had a life where he's suffered and really had nothing. No father figure, so no one to really develop him and nurture him and teach him, other than, again, not taking that away from the mother or his mother, but he didn't have that father figure. And as he grew and developed, the only person he really had, apart from, I guess, Obi-Wan, which was a friend, what really tied to him was Padme. And so he had Padme, but he had Palpatine, who was like a father figure to Anakin. And that's something that will have been very, I guess, alluring to Anakin. You know, you've got somebody that's got great wealth, great responsibility, can sort of take away all the elements of, I guess, the slave life that you've lived as an impressionable child, and again having no father figure. Anakin was perfect to be manipulated by Palpatine, and once he realised that Anakin was born from the Force and was created by Plagueis, he knew that that was it. This is the person that he had to get. But how does that make Vader the chosen one and not Anakin? Well, let's get to that. So as good and as strong as Anakin was, and Anakin could have been, could he have actually taken out Palpatine? And my thought is no, he couldn't. It doesn't really matter how good you are, eventually numbers will win. And Palpatine had the entire might of not just the Republic, but then the Empire behind him as well. And that would have been too much for Vader. And obviously, for Anakin, sorry. Anakin had to and was always destined to become Darth Vader. That was always the plan in my book. Because Darth Vader was now on the inside, and even though he didn't realise it at the time, even though all the things that he did throughout his life as Darth Vader and not Anakin, he was always destined to take out Palpatine. And with the arrival of Luke, and the knowing that he's not just his son, but also his twin sister, Leia, had survived. So at that point, Vader knew that he had 2 children. It was enough to push him to the point where he knew what he had to do. And at the very end of Jedi, it's Darth Vader that kills Palpatine. And so the title of the film, Return of the Jedi, is just so fitting. Because it's not Luke that's the Return of the Jedi. It's Anakin. He's the Jedi that returned. But it was Darth Vader that was the chosen one. He was the one that was to kill what was a great evil. Again, the light side and the dark side are not about good versus evil. It's about one philosophy and another philosophy. But Palpatine was evil, and Plagueis had created a monster, and he needed a way to kill Palpatine, and thus he created Anakin, who would eventually become Darth Vader, and he would eventually kill Palpatine. And that's why I find Vader such an interesting character. There's so much more behind him than just an evil guy in a suit. Because Vader, even though he does some pretty evil things, he's not evil. He's mean, but he's not outright evil, unlike Palpatine. And as a consequence of that, that's why I think Vader was always meant to be the chosen one. And so there you go. First time I've done a sort of theory lore video. I hope you liked it, and if you're at this point, again, we're pushing towards 100 subscribers. Still got a ways to go, but we're slowly getting there. And so your like and your subscribe means all the difference. It helps me reach new people. It helps me grow a channel that I do for fun. And yeah, hopefully I've convinced you to come on board. So with that, thank you. I'll see you in the next one.